The Buffalo Bills were flat against the Atlanta Falcons. What happened? I'm going to break it down for you today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of the Herd Mentality Substack, co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, co-host of the NFL First Read Podcast, and I am your host of Locked On Bills. Want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Locked On Bills is a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Well, folks, welcome in. I've taken the time to study the ALL-22 coaches film from the Bills' 24-14 loss to the Falcons, and I'm going to share my top takeaways with you today on this episode. Of course, we'll do studs and duds. We'll talk snap counts. We'll get into the defense, but I want to start with the offense. And the offense is the unit that I come away from this game most disappointed in. Sure, the defense started off horribly, 3 touchdowns in the first 4 drives, but they actually played really well after that. This offense just missed so many opportunities. And they played with a lack of awareness to what the Falcons were trying to get done defensively. Very, very frustrating. Very frustrating. So let's talk about it. We'll start with the passing offense, where Josh Allen goes 15 of 26 for 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He has minus 0.24 EPA per dropback. That's the 26th ranked quarterback in week 6. It's the 10th worst EPA game for Josh Allen since 2020. Wasn't a good game for Josh Allen, and there's obviously a lot of contributing factors to that. But Josh Allen certainly didn't play well, and neither did his supporting cast, and neither did his offensive coordinator. Josh Allen was pressured on 53% of his dropbacks. That's crazy high. Took 4 sacks, 2 of those sacks charged to Josh Allen as it being his fault. The Falcons generated a pressure rate over expectation of 25.37%, which is crazy high. They blitzed on 60% of Josh Allen's dropbacks. Tons of pressure. And it was the most rattled I've seen Josh Allen in a long time. A really, really long time. The Bills had problems dealing with the pressure looks that Atlanta gave. And this is a defense that came in with the highest blitz rate in the NFL. You knew you were going to get pressure. You were going to get pressure schemes, 5, 6, 7-man pressures. And it didn't feel like this Bills offense came into this game with a plan for that. You had protection scheme fails. You had issues with your quarterback getting to the answers when he's pressured and has to throw hot. And you had issues having answers at times. You had different things at different times, but it was usually one of those 3 things. Your protection scheme failed, your quarterback didn't get to the answers, or he didn't have answers to get to. And when you have that many different things compounding, it tells you that your offense just wasn't ready to go. Joe Brady just didn't have the right stuff for this football game. And that's not even getting into like bad play calls. It's just the wrong idea for this defense. And this is the second week in a row that I'm going in on this. All those missed opportunities against New England was plain as day for me. And now you go into this game and it's like, how are you not ready for pressure? How did you not have those answers? How did you not make them pay for playing that style of defense? Josh Allen was affected in a big way. He was rattled in ways that I haven't seen in a long time. And you saw him from a process perspective just not play to the standard that Josh Allen has set. He's locking in on reads. He's making bad turn downs. And when I mean a bad turn down means that he's working a progression and says no to something that's open and moves on to something else. There was a lot of predetermined decisions and not adjusting within the play. There's certain plays that Josh Allen decided he was going to run the ball. He was going to take off and scramble for no reason. Or he was going to lock on a particular read and not let the information that he gains as the snap moves on to put his eyes in the right spot. Got Josh Allen bailing clean pockets. This stuff doesn't really happen, but it happened in this game fairly frequently. I showed a lot of this in the ALL-22 film clips that I send out to those who are part of the herd mentality Substack. We can't show the film here on YouTube. We don't own that. The NFL is cracking down on those types of things, but it's available to anyone with a herd mentality Substack subscription, and I highly encourage you to check it out. Go watch just this one video. I'll show you all this stuff. Josh Allen turning down and saying no to things. Josh Allen making predetermined decisions. Josh Allen locking in on reads. Go to thejoemarino.com, type that into your browser, or there's a link in today's show notes. You can get a free 7-day trial. Just watch this one video if you don't believe me. Very frustrating to watch this passing game not be ready and not adjust and not have the right ideas at the right times against this Falcons defense. It's almost like Joe Brady came into this game saying, hey, I want to run what I want to run, and I don't want to have an awareness to what the defense is doing. Haven't really felt that way about Joe Brady to the level that I have over the last 2 weeks. And I recognize that Dalton Kincaid wasn't available. I recognize that because of that, it felt like Josh Palmer was ready for an advanced role. And, he has 2 targets, 2 catches, 60 yards, both go for first downs. I mean, looks like Josh Palmer was going to have a night. And then he gets hurt in the middle of the game. And now all of a sudden, you got to figure it out on the fly. But that's the NFL. I'm sorry. I don't care. The entire NFL is a battle of attrition and adjusting and figuring out problems. And if you do that, you're going to be successful. If you don't, you're going to have a game like this. This offense gets way too in love with targets to Keon Coleman when he's isolated up in man coverage. Like, they're wasted plays. I don't know why Josh Allen and or Joe Brady gets big-eyed by the idea of Keon Coleman in one-on-one coverage, thinking that he's going to uncover or he's going to be able to win a 50-50 ball. Like, it's just, they're wasted downs, and they go to it in high-leverage situations, and I don't understand why. What confidence should you have in running that during games that keeps you going back to it? Because I have no clue. You have to scheme Keon Coleman open. He's not going to just uncover with consistency. You have to take advantage of Keon's unique athleticism and size and ball skills and body control and make sure that he's a factor when things break down. But to ask him to go get buckets like the Bills ask him to do is crazy to me. They're way too in love with these isolated throws to Keon Coleman when they get one-on-one coverage. Especially against good corners. I don't get it. So, yeah, very frustrating day for this passing offense. And, yes, I have criticism for all of it. Protection schemes, Josh Allen, Joe Brady, receivers at times. There's a lot of nobody's open commentary out there. I don't know. Watch the tape. That was one of the big themes in kind of going through the ALL-22 clips that I shared with our herd mentality Substack members. Is like, all right, nobody's open. And then I kind of show guys that are open. And I'm not going to sit here and try to act like the Bills have great separators or they consistently get open. But this idea that nobody's ever open is just a lie. That's just a lie. No, the Bills don't have great separators. You wish there was more options. Like, I am not debating that, but nobody's open? Come on. Can show it to you time and time again. You got to go to the smart right place with the football, but it's all complementary. It's the protection working together with the routes, with the quarterback, having his eyes in the right spots and making the right decisions. And then when you have opportunities, making the play. Just didn't happen with enough consistency in this game. And if this sounds like I'm being critical of Josh Allen, I am, but I'm also being critical of Joe Brady, the protection schemes, and the receivers. You don't have the 10th worst passing game of Josh Allen's career since he became an elite quarterback without there being a lot of things baked into it. And of course, all of that ultimately mostly affects Josh Allen. We'll talk about the rushing offense here on the other side of it. Folks, be sure to stick with me. Nobody likes paying rent, but if you must, you might as well get something for it. That's where Built comes in. Built is changing the game by turning your rent payment into real rewards that you can actually use. When you pay rent through Built, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed towards hundreds of hotels and airlines, a future rent payment, your next Lyft ride, and more. But Built isn't just about rent. It's about rewarding you around your neighborhood. I love that Built, with Built, your rent finally works for you. You're earning points every month on something that you already have to pay. So turn your rent into rewards and start earning points around your neighborhood by going to joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNFL. That's JOINBILT.com/LockedOnNFL. Make sure to use that link so that they know that we sent you. What do you get when you have a bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla riding a T-Rex? Well, confidence. You have pure confidence. And if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiet Go Long. That's the deal here with Rougiet Go Long. It's not just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula, and the effects can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. The process is simple. They'll connect you with a board-certified doctor 100% online, and if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly right to your door. Are you ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to Rougiet, that's RUGIET.com, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for 15% off your first order. That's RUGIET.com, promo code LOCKEDONNFL. Make sure to use our code so that they know we sent you. All right, let's talk about this rushing offense that was not utilized nearly enough. The Bills run the ball 24 times for 134 yards. That's over 5.5 yards per carry. 58% of runs were successful. That's the second highest rate of any team in the league. This past week, they were number 2 in yards before contact per run. It was there. It was what I told you about. It's a small front, and the Bills, when they wanted to impose their will running the football, they were successful. They just weren't committed to it. It was there, and they went back to the run schemes that they ran against New Orleans. Under center, gap schemes. Want to take advantage of that small defense. They were getting displacement. James Cook was going once they got him the opportunities, and it just wasn't as prevalent of what they needed in that game, especially when your passing game was disjointed and you're down 2 of your best weapons in the passing game. This needed to be way more of a James Cook running the football game, and it just wasn't. Under center gap schemes. That's what they went to. They had some dirty zone runs early in the game, and then they got into their gap stuff, and it looked really good. They were prepared to take advantage of that light defense. James Cook, 17 carries, 13 gap runs, 4 zone runs. And I think about both of the Bills' touchdown drives. The very first touchdown drive was the first drive of the game, and the first play is 22 personnel, 2 running backs. One of them's the fullback, 2 tight ends, and 1 receiver. It's Josh Palmer. And the Bills run play action and throw a bomb, and it's a great route by Josh Palmer. Allen lays it out there. He goes up and gets the football, and you get things started. You ultimately score a touchdown on that drive. Then you have the touchdown drive, the first drive of the second half, and that's when you really got the gap run schemes going, and James Cook is running the ball like crazy. You finally get Ray Davis into the game, and it's play action, roll out to Ray Davis, and that edge, Ray Davis catch the ball, and he's able to catch and run for a nice gain. That's because Reggie Gilliam's in the game. You have 2 backs on the field, and he's wham blocking across the formation, making it look like a gap run. That holds that backer. Josh Allen's able to lay it over there to Ray Davis, gets the corner, and scores a touchdown. Like, it's so obvious to me that this foundation of what you have with big people and running the football and how you pass the ball out of it has to be your bread and butter with how this offense is constructed. And you missed opportunities to do it last week against New England, and you did the same thing again this week. You got to have an understanding of what you have, what the defense is trying to get done, what problems you can create for that defense, and do it. It doesn't need to be like, hey, it's now the time in the game where we're going to try to get isolated throws of Keon Coleman, or it's now the time in the game where we want to work on our 4 strong motions and overload one sides. Like it feels like Joe Brady just has like, okay, we get 8 drives a game and we want to try these different things. Like, have a flow, have an understanding of what that defense is trying to do and how you need to attack it and what you have and the problems that can present for the defense. It's just not happening enough. You can see the meat that's left on the bone. And that doesn't even get into just like the basic execution type things. Get the ball up to Tyrell Shavers on 3rd down. Throw the ball properly to Ty Johnson. Don't call the ridiculous Elijah Moore end around play. Got to be able to attack the right way and put your players in the best position that they can. And I just don't feel like the last 2 weeks Joe Brady has done that at all. Let's talk offensive snap counts. 57 snaps of offense for the Bills. Josh Allen, all 57. James Cook, 30. Ty Johnson, 24. Ray Davis, 2. Reggie Gilliam, 21. I know there's a lot of commentary about, not enough James Cook, too much Ty Johnson. I'm going to give you the reason. I'm not going to tell you that I'm defending the reason. I'm telling you the reason. And you should know this. What did we just talk about? The Falcons blitzed on 60% of Josh Allen's dropbacks. Ty Johnson's the best pass blocking back the Bills have. And so therefore, he's going to play a lot more in a game like this. Now, can you obviously build an argument about, well, James Cook's not your best pass blocking back, but that doesn't mean he shouldn't be on the field. You can put him in the slot. You can use him as a check down, a hot route. Like, yes, there are ways to get him involved despite it being a blitz-heavy defense. So the answer is the reason that Ty Johnson played 6 less snaps than James Cook is because they believe in him most in pass pro. That doesn't absolve that it's still smart to have James Cook, who's your best playmaker, not named Josh Allen, to have him on the field, especially in a game like this. The lack of utilization of James Cook in the passing game this season is perplexing. Ray Davis was on the field for 2 plays. He caught a first down on 3rd down, and he caught a touchdown. So thanks for everything, Ray Davis, on your 2 plays. Tight end Dawson Knox, 46 snaps. Jackson Haas, 31. At receiver, Keon Coleman, 49 out of 57 snaps. Khalil Shakir, 34. Tyrell Shavers, 28. Elijah Moore, 14. Josh Palmer, 6. Boy, I wanted to see what this game would have looked like with Josh Palmer and what type of production he would have had, because it felt like that was going to be a thing. For the offensive line, all 5 starters played every snap, except for McGovern, missed 1 snap, and then Alec Anderson came in for it. So 56 snaps for McGovern, 57 for the rest of the offensive line, 1 for Alec Anderson. All right, we'll focus the entire last segment on the defense, and obviously a bad story to start, but a really good story to tell for how they turned it around. It's unfortunate that the offense couldn't support that effort. We'll break it down here next. Folks, be sure to stick with me. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Check this out. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and you'll get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet. Put $5 down, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built parlays, tried player props, and even followed the live lines during games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. So whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. Obviously, there's a great deal right now where, if you're a new customer, you can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets. But as a regular, existing customer, you got to check out like the daily promotions. There's usually some really nice profit boosts that'll make whatever sports are happening that day even more exciting. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com and download the FanDuel app today to get started. All right, let's talk about this defense. Horrible start. They give up 3 touchdowns in the first 4 drives. Then after that, they give up 3 points. And they got a lot of stops, a lot of key stops. Atlanta passing the football. They go 20 of 32 for 250 yards and a touchdown. Actually had minus 0.11 expected points added per dropback. That's 23rd in the NFL this week. The Bills pressured Penix on 37% of dropbacks. That's pretty decent, middle of the pack. Second half, Penix went 8 of 13 for 79 yards. They really played so much better in the second half, and I would point to a change in coverage philosophy in the second half that led to much better results. In the first half, they played spot drop zone coverage. So, traditional zone coverages, whether it's cover 3 quarters, whatever they called, and the defense, whenever you do that, like these players, the way that they zone drop, they drop to their spot, and there's just not enough instincts and anticipation and vision that they play with off of it. It's like, hey, I'm the cover 3 linebacker or whatever you are. This is my landmark. Let me get there. And there's no adjustment. There's no feel. They just drift, and you got guys covering nobody, and they don't adjust, and it's just highly ineffective. And so that's where you just see all this space all the time. You're like, what is going on? Like, why is nobody near these players? It's because they're all spot dropping, and they just don't ever adjust. Like, there has to be, when you're spacing the field in zone, and everybody does have a landmark and a spot that they're to drop to, you have to adjust based on what is presented to you, like what information happens during the snap. You can't just cover grass and keep drifting. And they did that so much in the first half. And then they stopped in the second half, where they played a lot more man and they played a lot less split safeties. So instead of everyone just working the landmarks, you're just covering a man, and you're not playing with, split field safeties. You're playing with one high middle of the field safety. And they played so much better. So much better. So I thought that was the big adjustment from a coverage perspective. Obviously, there was a fatal play in the passing game. Certainly you could point to several early in the game, but I would point to, spot dropping and it not being effective. In the fourth quarter, obviously the Bills were clinging to a touchdown deficit, right? Had multiple opportunities to tie it up. And on the drive that Atlanta ultimately gets that field goal to go up 10 late in the fourth quarter, the fatal play to me was the 2nd and 9 throw to Bijan Robinson for 23 yards. And the Bills are running cover 3, and Trey White is the person responsible here. It's cover 3 seam. And so I think it's Kyle Pitts runs the seam route. And what Trey White has to do is let Taylor Rapp carry that. And he's that third defender over there, and he gets stuck trying to squeeze, and Bijan Robinson's wide open for a 23-yard gain on 2nd and 9. It was a fatal play. One thing that did happen from a pass coverage perspective in this game, or I guess defensive perspective, that affected both the pass and run game, is Jamarcus Ingram got a little bit of run at cornerback. And I think we learned very quickly that he is not a player that's going to help you more than Trey White does. I'd much rather, based on this game, I'd a million times rather have Trey White out there. I think Jamarcus Ingram made 2 catastrophic mistakes. One was against the run on the Bijan Robinson 81-yard touchdown run. He's not the most responsible person. I'll talk about this in a minute when we get into that play. But when Bijan Robinson breaks into space, Jamarcus Ingram is that play side corner. And what he has to do, what NFL defensive backs are taught to do in that moment, is you have to do enough to get the running back to slow their feet. And he doesn't, right? So he doesn't take on the block with much effort. He doesn't try to get off the block. He's just kind of lackadaisically, I don't know if that's a word, collisions the stalk block, and it never affects Bijan Robinson's path at all. So that's a fatal mistake. But then the other one that wind up actually not costing the Bills, but almost did, is the play where Drake London, right before the half, has a chance to score, and he's like a half a yard shy. And what it comes down to is the Bills remarkably, they call man coverage there in that situation. And they have Jamarcus Ingram on Drake London, which is a crazy matchup that should never happen in the history of the world. And Jamarcus Ingram is man-to-man on Drake London, and he's, obviously concerned about that. So he pedals and he has to drive on the route. And while he pedals, he bubbles and gets wide and gives separation to Drake London. And then when he tries to close, he falls all over himself. And Drake London takes off and nearly scores a touchdown. So any ideas that you have that Jamarcus Ingram would be a better option than Trey White, I assure you that is unlikely. The rushing defense, obviously some issues here. 32 rushes for Atlanta, 210 yards, 6.6 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. Obviously, they gave up an 81-yard run and I think 2 other 20-yard runs. And then I think they actually had 9 runs that went for 1 or fewer yards. So they had some nice stuffs, but they obviously gave up the explosive runs, which is traditional, right, for this run defense. And so I look at the 2 touchdown runs. Tyler Algier with the first one. I thought you actually had a pretty good effort there by the second level to take on blocks. And neither it was actually Taylor Rapp. Yeah, it was Taylor Rapp. No, was it Taylor Rapp? It was Cole Bishop and Terrell Bernard. I can't remember. 2 second level players. They take on blocks well, but the safety was Taylor Rapp. I mean, just an egregious angle to the football. Wasn't a hard read. He slow plays it, takes a bad angle, and misses a tackle when Tyler Algier, scores a touchdown. And then there's the 81-yard touchdown run from Bijan Robinson, which I remind you that on first down, Joey Bosa gets a sack, but Ed Oliver jumps offside. So you go from 2nd and 16 to 1st and 5. And on 1st and 5, Bijan Robinson goes 81 yards for a touchdown. The most guilty player on that snap is Terrell Bernard. It's a single gap defense. He was the A-gap defender, and he's a little slow to respond. He's right on the line of scrimmage. He attacks the near shoulder, and instead of the outside shoulder, so the gap is not leveraged, he gets turned. The defense is creased. It's an awful angle from Cole Bishop coming down. Bijan Robinson's off to the races. Your only hope is if Jamarcus Ingram can slow his feet so that the pursuit can catch up. It doesn't happen. You give up an 81-yard touchdown, and you're down 21-7. The most responsible player on that play, Terrell Bernard. That was his A-gap that it went through, and he played with slow processing and poor fundamentals taking on the block. Of course, missed tackles were a problem, so let's name names. 19 missed tackles for the Bills. By the way, 7 for Atlanta if you wanted to compare. 19 missed tackles, 4 to Taylor Rapp, 3 to Cole Bishop, 3 to Christian Benford. That was really weird. I think he's missed 3 tackles the previous 2 years combined. He missed 3 in this game. Dorian Williams missed 2. Joe Andreessen missed 2. And then Rousseau, Epinesa, Trey White, Joey Bosa, and Shaq Thompson, and Jordan Poyer all missed 1. So that's how you get 19 missed tackles. 7 by your safeties. Your starting safeties. Gross. Defensive snap counts. The Bills played 70 snaps of defense. Joey Bosa, 47 snaps. Greg Rousseau, 48. Thought Greg Rousseau played phenomenal in this game. It's nice that he's healthy and that bone bruise has been healed up. Everybody wanted to light his house on fire for a few weeks when he was playing through a bone bruise. Try to tell you he's playing through a bone bruise. He's finally healthy, a month removed. In the last 2 games, he's been awesome. Epinesa, 33 snaps. Javon Solomon, 14. Landon Jackson, 12. Jackson was quiet for his 12 snaps, but I thought he played better than he did last week. At defensive tackle, of course, remember the Bills lose Daquan Jones, so they only have 3 defensive tackles for the game. Deion Walker, 56 of 70 snaps. Ed Oliver, 55. Jordan Phillips, 15. I thought Deion Walker was phenomenal. 4 tackles for loss. The run defense was really good. Had a big pass breakup as well. The young man's coming along really, really well. At linebacker, Shaq Thompson plays 63 of 70 snaps. He continues to prove that he's the best linebacker this team has. Dorian Williams, 39 of 70 snaps. I thought he bounced back in a big way. The last time he played extensively, I thought he was an absolute disaster. Was that the New Orleans game? And then he didn't play against New England, but I thought he played much, much better in this one. Terrell Bernard, 38 snaps. Joe Andreessen, 8. At corner, Christian Benford, 64 of 70 snaps. Trey White, 68 of 70 snaps. Taron Johnson, 49. Jamarcus Ingram, 8. At safety, Cole Bishop, 55. Taylor Rapp, 67. Jordan Poyer, 18. And Cam Lewis, 12. Thought Jordan Poyer was sufficient on his 18 snaps. Had a really good run fill, actually. One that I don't think Taylor Rapp would have executed. I think that the Bills need to think about getting Jordan Poyer on the field. They need to. And I hope that's in place of Taylor Rapp. We'll see how that goes. I think that'd be a worthwhile lineup adjustment coming out of the bye to get your defense playing better. And ultimately, this, as I've thought about this season, like the defense comes out and starts horribly, like just really, really bad. They kind of figure it out. They kind of figure it out in every game. Unfortunately, it's, it can be too little too late, and it's inexcusable to start as bad as they do. But once Bobby Babich gets through his defense getting gashed for a few series, he settles in. Again, not okay. But if he can figure out how to start games, geez, might not be a bad defense. I thought there were some special team standouts. Jordan Hancock, I thought, played really well on special teams. So did Joe Andreessen, Sam Franklin as well. I thought Mitch Wishnowsky punted the ball really well. I think he had a 44-yard net in this game. 6 punts, 3 fair catches, had 1 return for 10 yards. I thought it was an overall good he did well, and I think the Bills were concerned about Jamal Agnew and were pretty intentional with some of the directional punting, and I thought Mitch Wishnowsky played well. We're going to be light on studs and duds this week. Studs, Deion Walker, Greg Rousseau, the one series that the Bills got a stop on the first 4, right? So 3 touchdowns and 1 stop. Greg Rousseau made 3 plays. They went 3 and out. He made 3 plays. He made a tackle for loss on a pass. Then he had 2 pressures where he collapsed that right tackle, and it led to incomplete passes by Atlanta. So the only reason the Bills got a stop in the first 4 drives was Greg Rousseau, and then, of course, he blocks a field goal, which was huge. Kept it a 1-score game. Deion Walker, obviously a standout. Duds, Joe Brady. It's that simple. Just did not have an awareness to what the defense was doing, ran what he wanted to run, didn't feel like his offense was prepared for this Atlanta defense. Joe Brady is a dud. So, yeah, am I disappointed in Josh Allen? Sure. The O-line, sure. The receivers, yeah. Mostly disappointed in Joe Brady. If he had a more cohesive plan and called better plays and had his unit ready to go, I think they'd have played a lot better. So I put this on Joe Brady. All right, folks, there you have it. All 22 review in the books. I feel good to exhale, and I'm ready to get into this bye-week content. I have a lot of guests lined up. I like to bring in some different opinions and not bring them in to interview them, but bring them in to have a discussion with them. So we'll be doing that here throughout the rest of the week. We'll get to herd mentality. We'll do my annual Bills versus the Bills episode. And then before we know it, we'll be getting ready for the Bills in week 8 against Carolina Panthers. So don't miss anything. Make sure that you're subscribed. Would love it if you took a second to rate, review, and share the podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills. And I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.